So I'm human, and when I see other people suffering, I naturally feel for them, right? When I see people pass away, I feel for them. As bad as that person is, if I don't feel for the person who passed away, I feel for the people around them. Some empathy, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, there is a website that maybe celebrate is the wrong word, but they mock the people who are, I guess, and you call them anti-vaxxers. So when they die, this website lists their name, like everything about them, and they
Wow.
mock them. They make fun of them. Now, to be clear, this, from my understanding, the website doesn't do this to, poor little old Barbara down the street, or, old Mark, down, no, not no names. These
They
are
go after they go big names
people who
with
have,
notoriety.
yes, who have followings and influence, and they mock them and they make fun of them. So this
Right.
guy, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning writer, he wrote an article about it, and the world was just in an uproar, right? And anyways, CNN interviewed the guy, and they took a poll. About 10,000 people responded. Like, is this guy insane? Is he just an asshole, or is there some truth here? And 2/3 of the people who responded to the poll agreed with the author. Basically said, yes, we should mock them. We should make fun of them when they die, because they
Right.
said this is fake. They're trying to do blah, 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 blah. Don't take it. Don't take it. Don't take it. Then they get COVID and they die.
These surveys, they got to be taken with a grain of salt because
I don't really
first
care
of
about the
all,
survey. I'm asking you.
asking me what I think about that.
I mean, you are on this podcast and you do talk about the vaccine sometimes in a discouraging way. I don't think I've ever heard you say that you shouldn't get vaccinated. I don't think I've ever heard you say that, but you
No.
do talk about it in a discouraging way, and one could interpret that as, well, if I take this thing, I'm an idiot. So I asked you this question. God forbid, right? The inevitable happened. I won't even finish a sentence. You understand in context. And somebody was poking fun at you, your passing. Would you
Right. A person with notoriety.
would you feel a ways? I mean, you're dead, right?
I
But
mean,
you're
I'm dead. I don't feel nothing. Right.
right. But I mean, like, do you think that they reserve the right to do that?
Let's say, okay, so this is one of those things where it's a matter of circumstance. And what I mean by that is, is it relevant to me? Should I care? Is based on how relevant the situation is to me. If the person of notoriety is myself, I'm dead. I don't care about this website. Now, if the person is somebody I'm related to, and they are a person who's an influencer, let's say my sister now is a major social media influencer, and something happens to her, and they go and they mock her. In that situation, I'm very pissed because I'm related to her. There's a relevance there. But I'm telling you, I never heard of this website. I never heard of this survey. And that's because the people who are on this list most likely are people that I don't know. The reason I never heard about this website is because it's shit that I don't care about. The people who participated, that's why I said this, that's why I started off with talking about the survey, because the people who participated in the survey are people who must know that this website exists, which means that they're people who agree with what is being posted on this website. That's why they go there in the first place. So of course you're gonna have 2/3 of them saying, yes, I want to do this and da 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 da. Guess what? I read an article the other day, and for those who don't know, Quebec has just implemented a tax for people who are not vaccinated that they are required to pay, called a health contribution.
Yeah,
Apparently they did.
we talked about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently they did a survey, just like the survey with this one, and majority of not people in Quebec, majority of Canadians supported this health contribution tax. Now, I look at that and I talk to the people all around me, and I get a consensus from the people that I know, and that's how I gain my opinions on a lot of things. I ask other people that I know, because if I go based on feelings gained from what a website says, because if they want to go and mock dead people, my feeling, honest opinion, I don't care. I don't. because it doesn't affect me in any way. But for those who are affected, they obviously are going to feel a little different than I do, and I get it.
Well, I mean, ultimately, the people who did the survey, these were two different platforms. Again, the author is the author, and I can't remember the paper that he wrote for. Could have been the Washington Post, New York, one of those. And then the poll was conducted on CNN.com.
Mhm.
But so there are two different platforms. But again, the reason why he put this out there is because he's saying, "Oh, as just how we're raised, you don't speak ill of the dead. It's just something you don't do, right?" But he felt completely opposite because he's saying, "Hey, these people are potentially taking people with them." So it's kind of like the person who rides the motorcycle. You know what I mean? If they die because they weren't wearing a helmet, you feel bad for the guy, but damn, nigga, you should have worn a helmet. But that accident is impacting the one rider. But a person who spouts, you know, anti-vaccine rhetoric and who has a platform and who has influence and people are following what they're saying, they could be, if they go to the grave, they could be taking other people to the grave with them. So that's why this guy is saying no. If they were to pass from COVID and they were anti-vaccine, maybe making fun of and mocking is the wrong word, but what he was saying is it needs to be underlined, like maybe hypocrisy or the way they died could have been prevented if they just fill in the
I
blank.
mean, at this point with Omicron out, how can anybody still be mad at anti-vaxxers? I get you could be mad at their opinions because when I say anti-vaxxer, I'm talking about the people who are going out and like protesting and like want to start fights over not wearing masks and stuff like that. Like me, for those who aren't aware and haven't watched previous videos, I am not for the vaccine, but I also will wear a mask if I go out in public, just out of respect for everybody else. There's people who are against all aspects of it. And that's what I mean when I say anti-vaxxer. I'm assuming that's what they mean when they say anti-vaxxer as well. Is
The
that
anti-vaxxers that they are talking about is the people who were eating mud and lathering their babies in mud that was laced with arsenic. You know those people,
right? Right.
real people, by the way. Um,
Obviously, it's real people.
look at the end of the
Try
day,
anything if you don't want to do something else.
at the end of the day, um, I'm vaccinated, and my stance on being vaccinated and other people vaccinated was, it's up to you. Like that's always been my stance. But there's going to be consequences that come along with that, especially even if you know me personally in real life. But my stance is on this particular article is I think it's distasteful. I do think, and the website, I think it's distasteful. I do think that if you have, a person with a stage, a platform, influence, and they are taught, rhetoric about vaccines, if they, God forbid, pass away from COVID, I think it should be pointed out, but I don't think it should be like the top of the essay. And then, like, as you read on, it's like 5 minutes later, oh, wow, we're still talking about this. No, definitely not. The person is a human being. They've done other things in their life. Okay, we could talk about that too. So I fall on that side of the fence, anyways, man. Like I understand what the author was trying to say and what two
Right.
thirds of those people were voting for in the survey. Like I get it, but a life is a life, man. So
Especially with
messy.
like I was saying before, I totally forgot. Let me get back to it. Like with Omicron out right now, the fact that people would still be attacking people who choose not to get vaccinated or make that decision not to get vaccinated, to me, is crazy. At this point, you can't even just be attacking those people right now because it's obvious that there are going to be variants that can be transmitted even if you are vaccinated. So I guess we need to just open up our eyes and understand that division that was there before between the two sides is actually starting to become a little bit more equal as we get new variants. Because vaccinated or not, there's some people right now who are in the exact same situation, sitting on their couch at home, watching us on YouTube. No
Um,
job.
and just to top up on that, the vaccine, if you are vaccinated, you can still get COVID. You can still go to the hospital. You can still end up in the ICU. That's a given. Again, the point of the vaccine, you know where I'm going with this, is supposed to help prevent that. And even with Omicron, my brother, it does help prevent that because Omicron is actually less aggressive than Delta, than the OG COVID. And by the way, actually, I was reading an article on Bloomberg today, and I don't want to jump out the window just yet, but in South Africa, it was South Africa that was it that Omicron popped off, or was it Delta? Which one was it?
I don't know, man. You're gonna know more about this than I do.
I believe it was Omicron. So, anyways, South Africa, the ground zero, basically, their medical scientists are saying that Omicron might just be it. The way that with their research, and I'm not going to try to say it the way they said it because I'm going to look like an idiot, but their research is telling them that this thing is peaked and eventually it's going to start going down, and pandemic is now going to be an epidemic, which of course is just regional, right? So there might be a little bit of light at the end of this tunnel. Also, I was reading the Deltacron, like the mix between the two that they found in Cyprus. Resounding evidence is pointing to, this is kind of funny, just like a little smudge, just basically like a little bit of dirt, an error, basically. The scientists out of Cyprus, they made a mistake. However, this scientist is standing firm, 10 toes down. It's not a mistake. But all the data that this scientist put out to the world, everybody's like, no, you read it wrong. It's a
Right.
smudge on your screen, basically. So, feeling kind of hopeful over here that 2022 might be a little something. Anyways, being public, what are your thoughts on this? When someone dies from COVID, but they were super vocal about being an anti-vaxxer, do we make fun of them?